Yeah, I think it's really exciting to see what's happening, and I mean, with all these new sensors, these input methods, I mean, it also means that we have a lot of more information available to us, and I'm just trying to put it into a broader sense and, um, you know, discuss really how, what does that mean for us, and how do we deal with this, and I have to say I'm really excited actually about this time, and not about this day or this time specific, but more about these days, because what Microsoft does is, with the help of design, Microsoft improves the user interface and the user experience. And I have to say, I've been working for Microsoft now for 4.5 years, and I used to work for a mobile startup, and we were very focused on the user experience to the consumer. And in 2008, Microsoft acquired us. And at that time, the Microsoft world looked like this. Yeah? It was Windows Vista with a flood of icons and shortcuts to documents. And don't laugh, I see you're laughing, because if you look down at your iPhone or your Android device or your iPad, it pretty much looks like that, maybe a bit more swift, a bit more animations, but still you live in a world of icons. We had Windows Mobile 5.1, and that was basically a full operating system crammed into a mobile device with thousands of functionalities, but it kind of disregarded the limitations and the opportunities a mobile device had. Well, and then you had Office. And it's very clear, actually, if you think about it, it's very clear of how we got to get there. And when I say we, I don't mean Microsoft necessarily, but we as an industry, because what we did, we took the workplace as we knew it from the 17th, 18th century, and we digitized it. And we even digitized it with the right names. If you think about it, it's a desktop, you have documents, you have folders, you have a library, you have an archive, you even have a trash bin, which we innovatively call the recycle bin. And it all made sense, it really made sense. And over decades, we optimized this method of putting data into the device, right? With a mouse, with a keyboard, and by now we have keyboards and computer mouses in all the different shapes and forms, even fashion articles like a heart-shaped mouse or this blinking gaming mouse. And it completely optimized data input up to a certain point, up to the point where we started to interact and connect all the different sensors and actors into our devices, and made it possible to connect the physical world with the digital world, also with our social world. And suddenly we got a stream of information onto our devices. We had the world of information onto these small devices, and user interfaces and the way we interact with these devices need to take this into account. Most notably, we have touch, right? And if you think about it, touch really as a mass market application isn't that old. I mean, we're all having iPads, smartphones, and so on, and we're used to touch. But when our kids, go to the TV and try to touch it, it's a big disappointment. So just that alone, we see, has huge potential, and we're going to see touch in many more places. And if you think about touch as in 2D, you can just think very simply gesture as in 3D. And I brought this little video, and we know gesture controls already from Kinect and from other situations. This is a simple webcam, and you can imagine kind of like Angry Birds in 3D with gesture control. And what it does, right? It brings the interaction with the computer to a much more natural way. Just imagine Angry Birds and you're standing there in front of your computer, and you do what you naturally would do. And this is what we, in pretty short time, can actually see. But back to the graphical user interface. Think about it again, you have the whole world in your pocket, whole information, and there's no wonder that here at Next or at restaurants or in the train, everybody has his face down into the device because it's freaking interesting. I mean, there's everything in there, right? But what it does, if you have such a torrent of increased information at your hand, right, it creates also some kind of like a poverty of attention. And we have to take this into account in user interfaces. And we have tried this, and we sought out a few years ago and thought, what kind of design languages make sense? And we looked around and saw metro-style design language. And if you go to trains, train stations, airports, metropolitan areas, you always see these signs. And what they all have in common is they're stripped off all the unnecessary information and made it usable for everyone. So you go to Japan, you go to China, you go to South Africa, wherever, you are likely to understand these signs and you know where you have to go. And these kind of design attributes we have incorporated pretty much into our product, and now we're in the year 2012. We have it in Windows, Windows Phone, Xbox, and we'll import it in many other services and products. And it helps really to put the customer first. We bring information forward in a nice, engaging way, fun, very easy to interact. And it helps us to sort the chaos. And we started with Windows Phone. And shortly, next I'm going to show you a video spot. And what we thought, actually, with this design language and the message that we went out is that our new user interface is so good that people have to spend less time doing this and can actually spend more time, in the real world, interacting with people and enjoying life, the beautiful world. And it might have been a bit misunderstood. It's probably a bit difficult to understand at times, but this is, reality. We know this. We're so into our devices, and we create havoc in our private life, business life, with the family, in all kinds of situations. And I actually think with metro-style design, we made a big step forward. Yeah, I think we kind of took the next step, taking into account all the information that are onto our devices from all these sensors and actors now. But we have to take into account that no matter how good the user interface is, it's a graphical user interface and it needs our visual attention, right? And I don't know if you know this guy. He's pretty famous at Microsoft, Bill Buxton, our research guru, and he says, you kind of got to get this technology out of our face so we can focus on the stuff that's important, right? In the sense that good technology is invisible. And I think we've seen many good examples today, from brainwaves to voice to many other things. And I have another video for you that doesn't really take away the graphical user interfaces, but at least it takes away the display. This is just a Kinect sensor tied to this guy's back together with a projector, and you can use any surface there is as a display. And you'll see you can kind of you do whatever you want to do on your iPad, on your smartphone, on your tablet. You can use on any interface there is. And what that actually means to us is that currently, right now, right, we are in a change of the paradigm of how we interact with computers. We used to do it with the keyboard, with a mouse. Now we start doing it a little bit with touch and voice and so on. What does that mean? We're using more natural gestures to interact with computers. And what does it mean? We're actually starting to interact with computers more like we're interacting with humans. And we've seen it already in one of the presentations. We saw science fiction, Space Odyssey. We saw Minority Report. And it's actually not so far away. I have no idea how far it is away, but we're going to start to see the stuff that we know from science fiction. And yeah, and this is a clip from 2001, Odyssey in Space of Stanley Kubrick, and this is how he imagined the year 2001 in the year 1968. And we're going to see a few things of how computers and man interact.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Where the hell did you get that idea, Hal?
Dave, although you took very thorough precautions in the pod against my hearing you, I could see your lips move.
right? So HAL 9000, the computer on board, saw Dave's lips move, and he knows what's going on. And I think the point here is, I mean, it's really almost natural interaction with the computers. We just have to make sure the computers know that they're working for us and not the other way around. And I don't know how far that is away, but what I'm looking forward to the more short term, that with all these new sensors and interaction with computers, we all can do a little bit less of this, and interact more like this with the real world, with us, because this is what technology should do for us. It should enrich our lives and make lives for us and all of us better. So yeah, thank you. I hope it was a bit interesting, summed it a little bit up, and yeah.